Hey, fifth grade, happy Friday. I was really excited to see all the work I've gotten from you guys recently. I'm looking to see 16 out of 16 students doing their work. So if you know that there's one friend out there who hasn't been getting their work done, send them a text. Let's get them on board. Today's lesson, we have a note. It says, Happy May Day. It's a whole new month starting today. Do you guys remember back just a few months ago that we were reading Esperanza Rising, and it was the chapter called Peaches? We had finally reached May, and Isabel really wanted to be the queen of the May, but she didn't win, and we were all really heartbroken for her. The 1st of May always makes me think of Isabel and always makes me think of how great, strong leaders can make a world a better place for someone like Isabel, right? Let's see what our lesson is today. First things first is going to be our do now. It asks you to write 4 more complete sentences to tell me what your favorite thing is to do on a nice day at recess. Go ahead and press pause on this video, and then when you finish the do now, press play again. All right, welcome back. Let's go over yesterday's correct answers for vocabulary. We're going to be doing the correct answers for page 134. Number 1, exhibit. Number 2, widespread. Number 3, acquire. Number 4, foes. Number 5, massacre. Number 6, sanitary. Number 7, debate. Number 8, preserve. Number 9, ladder. Number 10, achievement. Number 12, monotonous. No, number 11, monotonous. Number 12, sprawl. Your job now is to complete the next page, page 135, synonyms and antonyms. When you have finished doing that, press play on the video for our reading. Okay, if you press play again, you're ready to read. I loved chatting with Talea about how crazy the story is getting right now. Today, we're going to read pages 310 to page 319, and then you guys will do the comprehension questions for chapter 16. I am going to start for you on the top of 311. And guys, what's happening right this second in the book, if you might remember from yesterday, is that Grandma is on the phone with Jeannie and Ernie's parents, telling them what happened. And when Dad found out that Grandpa had sort of pushed Ernie to shoot the gun when he didn't want to, he got really mad. And Jeannie said that he could hear Grandpa through the phone yelling. And then Grandpa's saying, let me talk to him. And let's see what's going to happen, okay? Bottom of 310, just follow along with me here, guys. Grandpa, who had been hovering nervously over Grandma's other shoulder, now tapped it. Give it to me, Mary, please, he whispered. Let me talk to him, please. Grandma gave him a cold stare, but relented, saying, hold on, son, and passing Grandpa the phone. Ernest, I'm sorry, Grandpa said first thing. I was wrong and I'm sorry. I am sorry, he repeated a few more times. But apparently, Dad, at the mere sound of his father's voice, had given the phone back to Ma. Hello? Grandpa called out into the phone. Ernest? Then his face dropped in disappointment. Oh, hey, Sheila. He waited a while. His daughter-in-law asked something. Yep, no problem. Hold on. Grandpa handed the phone back to Grandma, and who then explained for the second time that she had already taken Ernie to the hospital and had him checked out and splinted, and that she would take him to get all checked out again, and that there is no need for them to leave Jamaica. They had just gotten there. Even though Jeannie pretty much felt ready to go home at this point, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. So Grandma fixed him a quick ham sandwich and left him in the kitchen while she disappeared to her bedroom, where she started flipping through the book that she was always flipping through. Grandpa retreated to the inside-outside room, which was fine with Jeannie as he didn't want to be anywhere near him. It was like Jeannie was suddenly on an island too, a deserted one. Maybe everybody in the house was on one. Later that day, Tess came to visit, all kinds of worried, wanting to see Ernie. But Grandma turned her away. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but he's just, kind of low right now, Grandma explained gently. Yeah, Tess said, her voice sad but understanding. Well, can you just tell him I said hey, and that I hope he's okay? He is, baby. He is, Grandma assured her. And I'll tell him. In addition to running interference, Grandma gave Ernie aspirin to help with the pain, and she made sure that there was no extra swelling. The only other thing he really needed would have been a TV with some fighting on it. And in fact, there was a TV, one that Jeannie and Ernie hadn't even bothered to watch, the one in the living room, which to Jeannie was the land of the missing wheel piece, or the room with the door leading to Grandpa's inside-outside room, Bird Murderville. Actually, there were two TVs, a big one that was like a piece of furniture, like a cabinet with a screen in it, and a smaller television sitting on top of it. The big one didn't work, and the small one was fuzzy because Grandma and Grandpa didn't have a cable. After he finished his sandwich, Jeannie went over to it and wiggled the antenna. Only one channel came in. Some kind of weird repeating infomercial with a woman selling letter openers that looked like little katana blades, which was not going to make Ernie feel any better. Plus, there was no remote, so TV was out. Desperate to help Ernie out somehow, Jeannie decided to joining him up in the bedroom and imitate his ninja interpretations, leaping off of his bed, kicking the air, and pretending to chop the wall, which Jeannie thought would be really funny. But Ernie didn't laugh at all, not until Jeannie tried to do a roundhouse kick and hit his foot on the dresser. Then Ernie started chuckling and shaking his head, but he threw his hand over his mouth first so that Jeannie couldn't see his teeth. Jeannie fell onto the bed, rubbing his foot. It felt like he'd been stung by a giant bee. It hurt? Ernie asked. Not much. How about your mouth? Ernie shrugged. Not so bad anymore. Can I see? No. Ernie said it like there was no way that Jeannie could get him to change his mind. Still, come on, Ern, let me see. I won't laugh, for real. Ernie put up a fist. I swear, Jeannie, if you laugh, I won't, promise. Ernie pulled his hand away and opened his mouth just enough for Jeannie to see. At first, Jeannie did want to laugh. Not because it was funny. It wasn't, not at all. But because he was nervous. And sometimes when he was nervous and he didn't know what to say or do, he got the giggles. Luckily, he held it in. But it was tough. The perfect picket fence now had a white gate over the top of it, and one of the pickets was broken, jagged. It was a mess. Guys, was that actually about a picket fence, a perfect picket fence? What is it about, Smush? That's right, they're comparing Ernie's teeth to being like the post in a fence, and that they had been so perfect, and now there's one that's broken and messed up, right? Figurative language. Not so bad, however, is what Jeannie said. What, are you blind? I look crazy, Ernie fumed. I should have never shot that stupid thing. Jeannie just sat there quiet. Didn't really have anything to say. Plus, he was scared that anything he said was going to make Ernie even madder, so he just listened to Ernie go on and on about how his face would never be the same, and how Tess wouldn't like him anymore, and how people in school would probably give him a stupid nickname like Tooth Lee, and he would probably get suspended all the time for kicking their butts, even though he wasn't sure if he still wanted to take classes, because people would have to see him this way. And on top of all of it, he was mad. He said, not a good word, because his sunglasses had broken as a result of the fall, as if having 3 teeth knocked out wasn't enough. He was pretty much planning to never be seen by anyone ever again, which didn't seem like it was a good plan to Jeannie, but that was how Ernie was talking, and Jeannie was just listening and listening until Ernie finally stopped. Then Ernie repeated it. I should have never shot it. It didn't feel right. What do you mean it didn't feel right? Jeannie asked. You know how it was with you and Samantha at first? Like, for some reason, you didn't trust her? Like there was just something about her? Yeah, her teeth, Jeannie joked. Ernie didn't laugh, so Jeannie followed with, the difference is I was scared. Then he went for it. Ernie, you were scared too, weren't you? With the gun? What? When the gun hit me in the face? Of course, you would have been too. Ernie sat up a little. No, not that part. Before, when you were aiming. You were scared, right? Ernie didn't say anything. He just stared straight ahead, like he couldn't get enough of that blue dresser. Jeannie thought about how Grandpop told him that he was afraid of being outside, and how even though they did all that practicing, the old man was still squeezing Jeannie's shoulder hard when they were in the woods. And Grandpop was even tougher than Ernie, so if he was scared, anybody could have been scared. Realizing he wasn't going to get an answer, though, Jeannie said, "Well, if you were, it is okay." Just as Grandma came waltzing into the room, carrying a tray with an envelope and a bowl on it. "I'm sure it's okay." "It sure is okay," she said, sliding right into their conversation. She was always doing that. Sneaky, sneaky Grandma. We all get a little scared sometimes. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. She set the tray on the dresser and then held the card up. "This is from your parents. It came in yesterday for your birthday. I'm just going to put it right here." She set it on the dresser between the red truck and the bottle holding Ernie's leftover tooth. Jeannie instantly thought how cool it would have been if Grandma had pulled one of those katana-looking letter openers out and handed it over to Ernie, too. It would have been a small victory. Instead, she brought a bowl over to him. "Here," she cooed. "It's chicken soup without the chicken or the noodles or the vegetables. Now, your gums are going to be real sensitive, so use this straw." Ernie leaned forward and took a big sip of what was just broth. His eyes got all big out all of a sudden, and Jeannie could tell that he had burned the back of his throat. "Good?" Grandma asked. Ernie caught his breath and he nodded. "Good," she said, going over to the dresser. "You are brave out there, Ernie. That's in your blood. Your grandpa, he's a brave man too." She clarified. "He ain't perfect, but he's brave, living his life trapped in the dark, getting on. Your daddy's brave too, fighting fires, risking his life to save other people." She paused and picked up one of the medals from the blue dresser. It swung from a purple ribbon, glinting. "Your uncle was brave too. This is what they gave him, and what they gave Wood when he was killed." She brought it over to Ernie. "They call it a Purple Heart. It's very special." "It's very special," Jeannie thought. "Like the broken truck. Ugh." Ernie covered his mouth before saying, "But he died, so what's the point of giving it to him if he wasn't even here to see it?" Jeannie could tell that Grandma was thinking of how to answer. It was a good question. "I guess to remind us that he was brave, even though he was scared." "Uncle Wood was scared?" Jeannie asked, trying to push the thought of the fire truck further back into his brain. Back, behind the thought of Grandpop telling him about Uncle Wood whooping up on that dude Cake to protect Dad. To Jeannie, Uncle Wood didn't seem like the scared type. "Oh, Lord, yes, he was terrified. Before he went to Kuwait, he sent me a letter, and I could barely read it because he had cried all over the doggone thing. Ink was everywhere." She swallowed hard. "He was so scared." "You still have it?" Ernie asked. "The letter?" Grandma turned away, but Jeannie saw her blinking hard, blinking away tears. She put the medal back into the dresser, lining it up nice and neat. Then she turned back to them, her face so sad that it made Jeannie's stomach hurt. "Yeah," she said softly. "I read it every single day." That's the end of chapter 16. Guys, I'm so glad that Miss Padilla gave us these books. This story and this family is such a beautiful and inspiring story, and it's just crazy. Go ahead to your worksheet, use tag, and answer all of these questions that my little smiley face pointy is pointing to. And make sure to share your journal as well. Shout out to Dill and Anila, T and Anila, for putting lots and lots of sentences in there. I just have been giving extra credit for extra sentences, and you guys are all doing a fabulous job. All right, don't forget to click turn in for your work, and see you soon. Love you all. Bye.